What type of breaches are Beazley seeing? Are they consistent with what Mark has said?
They are. I think in terms of some of the highlights of trends that we've seen in the last 6 months, we are seeing, as we've seen since the downturn in the economy, the malicious employee. And I think that that trend has really continued. It's continued in some very high-profile ways in the last 6 months. I'm sure many of you have come across the issues with employees stealing information either to use themselves or to sell to crime rings to file fraudulent tax returns and obtain tax refunds to which they are not entitled. This was obviously a big season for that. If that kind of identity theft occurs to you, when you go to file your legitimate tax returns, they are rejected because a return has already been filed under your Social Security number. We're seeing that largely in the healthcare space, with employees participating in the taking of that type of information and the causing of that type of event. We're also seeing a lot of Google indexing breaches, where a server, whether it's up for maintenance or repair, information gets put on a non-secure part of the server. It then gets caught by Google, indexed, and then ultimately when the entity finds out that a client or a patient has Googled themselves, as we often do, and have found some medical records or other information about themselves from that entity. And we're seeing a pretty significant number of events like that. We are absolutely seeing the hacking events continuing. They are out there, just as Mark's studies, statistics show. They are happening. They are happening particularly, I think, on the credit card side of things, so retailers, processors, et cetera. And we'll always see, as again these statistics have showed, we will always see human error, the lost device, the lost briefcase, and we continue to see, and I think, Mark, you passed over it in your pie chart, but we continue to see the paper record breach. And I think we do often at these types of conferences spend a lot of time talking about electronic records, and for good reasons, but we absolutely continue to see the paper record breaches.
Are we seeing litigation come out of these breaches? Are we starting to see that trend, which is, we're talking about claims, so are we seeing litigation as well, or just these continuing reg responses?
We are seeing litigation. We're seeing purported class action litigation, particularly under the CMIA in California. I know the next panel is going to talk about that a little bit, but we're absolutely seeing it in terms of California statute that really sort of allows a vehicle for that, in terms of an individual being able to seek some type of damages for a breach of health information. We're seeing it in other contexts with other breaches, perhaps caused by the malicious employee, that result in, again, the purported class action. And we're seeing it as well on the individual plaintiff side. And one of the topics I covered in this panel last year was the issue of the healthcare breach and the emotional harm allegations that an individual could very well make. And we do see those claims coming in. I thought it was noteworthy that, again, going back to Mark's study, that you're seeing such an increased number in the amount of the legal settlements. And that is not surprising to me. I think it takes some time for that to work its way through the system, but I think you're starting to see those issues bubble up. You're starting to see more plaintiffs finding counsel who are willing to bring those claims, including in the individual action, and those claims do have a cost attached to them.